Anyway, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this, our fourth weekly brief as part of Chamber Live, our series of events that we're doing now through Zoom and Teams and other ways virtually, just to make sure that we're keeping you up to speed and informed of things that's going on here at the Chamber, and also any latest news and events that you need to be aware of. We're going to be hearing from Susanna Cordoba, Nathan Chu, Subra and Tess later on, covering everything from trade to quantitative easing, membership services, and what's happening about the Chamber actually opening up its offices and what that may look like in the future. So quite a wide number of topics that we're going to be going through today. So anyway, it's half an hour, quite fast moving and quite a lot to go through. So without any further ado, what I'd like to do now is just do a short session with Susanna Cordoba, who's our Head of International Trade. Susanna's done a brief presentation at the other three Chamber Live events that we've done, but I wanted to just get into a little bit more detail today about her job and some of her roles. So, Susanna, good afternoon. Just outline a little bit for people, just what your role is here at the Chamber and some of the things that you deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everybody. So, yeah, as a head of international trade, I look after two key teams. One is the export documentation team, which is mainly working on helping exporters with all their documentation, certificates of origin, ATRs, and all that to get the goods moving from one place to another. And we have the international trade team, which deals with any other services which complement that main export documentation one. And with both, we try to support companies in every stage of their internationalization, whether they are new or occasional or experienced exporters or importers. And what we deal on a day-to-day basis is all sorts. It can be from how do I export this or how do I import that, and just the basics of the practicalities of doing so. Some are startups, but we also get medium and large companies, side companies, which, yes, they might be experienced exporters, but they are maybe seeking new markets, so they need the connections overseas, finding different partners, assessing the different markets, and checking which ones offer the best possibility for them. And generally speaking, we also get a lot of the technical questions behind the trading. So from, yes, I'm exporting to China, or like we had one this morning or yesterday about exporting very specific scientific equipment and understanding what are the regulations and the import procedures that they need to meet on the other side, and vice versa. If they are bringing something from China, what are the regulations or documents that they need to make sure that they are not going to get stopped at customs and so forth. So those are kind of, it's a very wide range of queries that we get on a day-to-day basis.
And what difference has COVID-19 made? Because obviously I can imagine that things have grown to a little bit of a halt, it seems, with things like import and exports. How has it affected the team from your perspective?
Well, obviously, COVID had a massive impact on our team because whilst we do run an online service, we still had about 25% of our customers still doing a lot of manual documentation. So we have to move very quickly to make the team working remotely. And that had obviously its own challenges with cost, getting documents is fast enough for the customers to keep moving goods. We managed to kind of get into a level now that we are able to continue to provide the continuity of the service. And we are encouraging more and more customers to use the online. So in that sense, it's been a positive impact because we're getting more people to use the online service. In terms of exporting trade levels and importing, obviously we saw a huge impact on that. And that was many things, because obviously priorities were given to anything related to medical equipment. So anything that was not to be seen as use against the fight against the pandemic was taken like not a priority. So that meant that some exporters were facing delays and getting the goods moved. Some customers we know that experience some issues with even actually paying suppliers overseas to try to get the goods into the UK. And we also know that there were some logistics issues.
Yeah, yeah. And when you say about the documentation bit that people need to export goods, just give people that are listening to this some sort of sense of how many are processed in 12 months, because I think the numbers are quite amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, so before COVID, we are still the leading provider of documentation services in the North. So we were doing about 38,000 documents a year. So that was about 150 daily on a daily basis. Obviously, post-COVID, we've seen a huge shrunk, but this is not just from Greater Manchester, this is across the UK network. So it's been between 30% and 50% shrinking on documentation, and that's depend on the region.
Yeah. So 38,000 documents a year, which is an absolutely unbelievable number. 150 per day. Just gives some idea of that, strength of market, really, and the number of businesses that are exporting, and that could potentially increase in the future. Maybe the actual amount of paperwork involved, depending on what happens, of course, with everyone's favourite subject, Brexit. How is that impacting your particular team? Because I can imagine you're probably getting it from all angles, aren't you? From government, from members, from customers, from overseas countries. What does that actually mean for you?
It's been funny because it's been like we had deadlines last year in October, so it was quite quiet for a bit, and then literally a month before the October deadline, we had an influx of queries coming through. Some businesses panicking, asking what's going to change, what's happening. Then obviously that got extended to January, and again everything went a bit quiet. And then a few days before January, again an influx. And generally speaking, we see that some companies have taken the right steps to prepare, but some remain largely unprepared. They don't know exactly how that is going to affect their business. For us, it's a bit of a worry to see some of the companies that have been specifically only trading with the EU, and maybe are under the belief that if there is a free trade agreement with the EU, suddenly there will not be paperwork, and that's a completely mistake. There will be paperwork, unfortunately. As easy as they want to make it, there will be some changes, and that will take time for the different customs points to get used to, both for the customs agents and the companies.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thanks, Susanna. Just one final thing. We were having a conversation earlier on today, weren't we, about government consultation on free ports. So I'm just conscious of time. What we'll do is we'll circulate those details to people afterwards. But again, the drive from government to set up free ports throughout the UK, an integral part of that mission to make importing and exporting an awful lot easier and more attractive to people. But as we've heard, COVID-19 is causing a big impact. There's another one due to land any time with Brexit. What I can say is it's great to have Susanna and a team, a real group of positive experts, absolute experts working for the Chamber as well, that can answer the most mundane and bizarre of inquiries in a very professional and very timely manner. So thank you, Susanna, for that. The next person I want to just have a quick chat with this afternoon is Nathan Chu, who is our General Manager from Chamber Space. Nathan, if you'd just like to introduce yourself and a little bit about your role and what Chamber Space is. Is Nathan on the call?
Hello?
Hi, Nathan. There you go.
Yeah, I've been using Zoom solidly for weeks, but I always forget to say that it doesn't matter how long I've been using it, the mute button stays on for some reason. Nice to meet you all. So I manage Chamber Space, which for those of you that don't know is the corporate hospitality conference, meetings and events venue that we have here on Deansgate. It was also where our offices are located in the Members Lounge, which I'm sure many of you have visited. So my role is welcoming thousands of people in a year to hold a wide variety of events, things from large conferences, small business meetings. We even do weddings here at Elliott House, believe it or not. I don't think we've had any members get married yet, although we did have one book a wedding just before this all happened. So hopefully they'll be coming back to get married at some point in the future. I also look after, or recently started looking after, the events that the Chamber held just before COVID hit. So I've not actually had the pleasure of managing any of the external events as yet. As you can imagine, the venue's been very quiet the last few months. We were probably hit, like the rest of the hospitality sector, very early on in the sort of beginning of March towards the middle of March. We started to see mass cancellations of events going forward for the next 3 months. I'd like to say that's sort of slightly picking up a bit now, but still we're very quiet. Most of my team are using the furlough system and aren't in, but we're doing a lot of planning here to get ourselves ready for the hopefully inevitable return to events and business.
And obviously, one of the things you're looking at present is the guidance for workplaces. Obviously, we've got a double whammy there. That obviously we've got our own offices, but also we've got a venue there that members of the public can come to, as well as chamber members and whatever. What are you doing at present? Making the building fit to reopen, I suppose, really is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and I think the words government guidance, is what you should focus on here, and that's exactly what we're doing. What we're trying, our first port of call is our responsibility to staff and any staff that we will be welcoming back into the venue in the coming weeks. And the guidance is that if you can work from home, you will work from home. But we want to be clear that we want to be bold and lead the sort of safe return, or the possible safe return into offices. So my focus has been making sure that working with members, partners, that we can make Elliott House the safest environment possible. And that's managing things like traffic flow through the building, making sure that signage is plentiful and in the right places, and also all those other things that I'm sure lots of businesses are thinking about, sanitizing PPE equipment. We've also managed to secure a temperature monitoring, temperature scanner for people when they do enter the building. And I think, although it sounds like a bit of a gimmick, and I'm very excited that we're having one on site, that things like that are sort of key to building confidence, both for staff and for potential business when it comes back in. So that's been a big part of my time, is looking at what measures we can bring in to build that confidence.
And how do you see the future of events? I mean, obviously, a week ago, we should have been having our annual dinner, 700 people at Victoria Warehouse and one thing and another. That was one of the first things we decided was not going to happen. And obviously, you've mentioned the fact that, we host hundreds of events every year. How do you think things will be different, or may be different in the future when it comes to events, and also what we can offer as an organisation for members?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one for everyone, because as soon as this happened, I know that contemporaries in the industry and people in general looked at the revolution of video conferencing, Zoom events, and the various different platforms, and the question was, is the physical event dead? I don't know about everyone on this call, but actually I think it's been really positive. So we've discovered this option, we're making the most of it. But one thing it clearly shows me is that video conferencing is absolutely no substitute for the real thing. And I think when you spend enough time sitting in front of a Zoom camera in an empty room, you may agree with me. However, our big focus now is on doing everything we can to encourage those physical events to happen. And obviously we are being led by government and waiting for the announcements to come out to see what we can do. But the hybrid event is the buzzword within the industry at the moment, and that is an event where you do have a physical presence in the venue, but also then you have that event streamed out to delegates who are attending virtually. And we are in a partnership with Unique Venues in Manchester to hopefully deliver one of the first hybrid exhibitions here in Manchester. So watch this space. It will be managed by a videography company. So the key to making these events successful is ensuring that the delegates who are watching from home have as good or as near as good as experience as the delegates that are in the venue, and that's what we're looking to achieve. And I think that will be the future of larger events for some time to come.
Okay, thanks very much, Nathan. That's interesting stuff, and obviously, right at the front line, as it were, really, of what a lot of businesses are doing at present in making sure that people can come back in a safe way, really. And obviously, if you've got people visiting your premises as well, and whether that be for events or meetings, that's a huge bit as well of making sure that people feel safe and secure in the world going forward. Certainly over the next few months as we go through whatever. So thanks very much, Nathan, on that. I'd like to bring in Subra now. We've had some excitement over the lunchtime, haven't we, Subra? We've heard from the Bank of England that they're going to put £100 billion into the economy through, I think, a form of quantitative easing. I thought we'd seen the last of that about 10 years or so ago after the recession in 2008, but it's made a return. Will it make any difference? We're on we're seeing reports now in the press about hundreds of thousands of job losses and one thing and another. Will that make a difference? The Bank of England dipping their hands in the pockets and finding some money to put in the economy?
Sure. Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, so in the latest meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, the Bank of England made two important decisions. One was to hold the base interest rate at 0.1%, as it has been for some months now. And the second was to increase the amount of quantitative easing spend by about 100 billion. That is significant because the amount of quantitative easing was hovering at around 400 billion or so until earlier in the year. And then since February, March, it has gone up by over 200 billion. And so this is another 100 billion on top of that, which will take the total amount of spend to about 750. And essentially, as you will know, quantitative easing is basically funding government spending. So it is government bonds that the Bank of England buys. And the reason the bank is having to do that now is to provide financial support for the various support mechanisms that the government has announced in the wake of the pandemic. So we have the furlough scheme, we have other forms of government support, we have reduction in business rates that local authorities have collected. Now, to be able to fund all of that needs a significant amount of stimulus. So that's the thinking behind what the bank has done. Will it make a big difference? Well, it will certainly make some difference. But probably not a whole lot. And while 100 billion is a huge amount of money in the grand scheme of things, compared to UK GDP, etc., it is not a huge amount. And it is 1/3 of what the UK government is going to spend in total on COVID-19 support mechanisms. But Chris, you touched upon the issue of employment, and I think that is central to this whole debate. So you would have seen the latest labour market data coming out on Tuesday, which showed that 600,000 people had lost their jobs since the lockdown was imposed. In addition to that, the number of universal credit claimants has also gone up. And those two are central to this debate because all of the support mechanisms are about preserving jobs and improving consumer confidence. And that is key to recovery from COVID-19. Chris?
Okay, thanks a lot, Subra, for that. And again, we are expecting more of this stuff to happen over the future. One thing I just want to raise is that we do have our quarterly economic survey event on Monday when we will be going through the results of our most recent quarterly survey. And that's the first one that's been done since COVID-19 impacted. We've been doing our regular weekly business monitor, and things have been pretty traumatic for a lot of people, as we've all experienced, I think, over the last couple of months. But we're in that period now where the official government statistics are beginning to match up with what we knew 2 or 3 months ago as all this started. So we can start to see how accurate that is, and also begin to play forward some of the potential impacts that we'll be seeing. And we'll also be looking at what else needs doing from an economic point of view. We've seen changes to the furlough scheme coming up. Do we need more of that? Do we need more economic stimulus, etc.? And we'll be focusing on that at the event as well. So we'll send a link out for that afterwards. And Subra is looking forward to giving the latest information on the Greater Manchester economy and also on some national economic issues as well. So if you want to find out the very latest of what's going on, make sure you're on that call on Monday. We'll send out details after the call. So thank you very much for that, Subra. Our final guest slot today is a first timer, I think. It's Tess from the membership team. And she's just going to give a very brief overview as to some of the latest services and updates from our membership. So Tess, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Tess. I'm one of the account managers here at the Chamber. I'm just going to give a little update on some of the services you can access through the membership and sort of a mix of support services and how you can keep your business connected through this time. So firstly, I know we have mentioned this previously in another Chamber Live, but I just wanted to mention it again because it is important for businesses at this time and is included in the Chamber membership, so it's free of charge. Which is Chamber Protect. It's an online portal which gives you 24/7 advice line for HR, legal, tax, VAT and health and safety advice. And they can answer any questions, even COVID related queries. They have been focusing on supporting businesses during the furlough period. So it's Quest who provide this service, and they are also offering free virtual one-to-ones. So if you think this might be useful, you can just give us a shout and we can get some support tailored directly to you. Or if you need any of the logins or phone numbers as well, just give me a message in the chat and I can sort those for you. Secondly, we have our Chamber Primary Healthcare Plan, which we run through our partners, Westfield Health. They offer healthcare plans on at an affordable, high value healthcare plan, which benefits both employers and employees. The plan provides money back on healthcare bills whilst protecting businesses from absenteeism. They have recently introduced a workplace wellbeing plan as well, which is designed to improve employee health and wellbeing whilst contributing to better business performance. So this plan includes workshops, activities, and advice for employees and employers. And there are a number of different levels to these plans, so you can sort of decide which one suits the business best. And again, if you need any more detail, just get in contact. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on our marketing channels that we have here at the Chamber, which are designed to sort of help businesses to communicate key messages. We have a strong digital network, and now more than ever, it's important to keep your digital presence strong. So you can upload news or events to our website, you can post in our LinkedIn group, you can tag us on Instagram or Twitter at GM Chamber. So it's worthwhile utilising these channels to help let businesses know you're open if there's any changes in your products, or how best businesses can engage with you as well. So those are the three main points that I wanted to cover. But don't forget, you've got an account manager, so it's either myself or Harriet Jackson. So please make sure that you can sort of get the most value out of your membership. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Tess. And it's so important. Tess and Harriet, as you mentioned, right on the front line, they're speaking with members and non-members on a day-to-day basis, and especially over the last 3 months or however long it has been now, been extremely busy, both receiving calls coming in, but also going out and touching base with members as well to make sure that they know we are still here for help and support during these times, and we will be over the coming months ahead when things are probably not going to get back to normal in the short term, and we could be seeing some major impacts, both from the point of view of the economy and jobs and all the rest of it. But we're here to help you through those times. We just have a couple of minutes left now. Just a couple of things I want to mention. First of all, we started one of the new things we wanted to do, and this links in with a little bit of what Nathan said and what Tessa said as well. We started our new networking events this week, last Tuesday. They run every fortnight. We had a lot of call from people to say, you know, is there an opportunity now to do virtual networking events? We've heard what people have said, and we've put one on. We had 50 people on it this Tuesday. The next one, I think if my sums are right, I think is on the 30th of June. So please look out for that. That is virtual networking and that side of things. And also as well for our business community, Greater Manchester business community that we launched at the start of this. We've now signed over 500 businesses up to that. And that's absolutely superb. So if there's anybody on there that doesn't know anything about that, or they may be talking to people that currently aren't chamber members and want to be part of the stuff that we're doing here, then the business community is there as a free option during these times when businesses may need that little bit more of an helping hand. There's some really good messages just coming through there. Sharon said she's been on the last 2 weeks of these calls. I think they're absolutely brilliant. Hopefully we can carry on with that going forward. Sonia sounded like she really enjoyed the networking event on Tuesday. Maudie Greenwell, do you need to be a member to take part in the networking events? No, or if you're not a member, sign up for the business community. It's not going to cost you anything, and get yourself onto those networking events and all the other events that we're running as part of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm just conscious of time. There's 1 minute. Has anybody got anything they just want to ask about anything they've heard today just before we wrap up for this week's call?
Can I say something?
You certainly can, yeah.
Can I just say, I know, Nathan, you were talking about nothing beats the face-to-face, and, you know, I work in recruitment, so I'm face-to-face all day long and love it. But I have to say, the pivoting that businesses and, you know, the chamber and everybody have put in to move it to virtual is amazing. And so I've been to some networking events, whereby they've done speed networking, they've moved people into different rooms in small groups, which is the equivalent of sitting around and having a coffee and having a chit chat. So we can still do all the things, and you know, technology is amazing, isn't it? But we can still do all those things that make a big difference. I love, you know, seeing the whites of somebody's eyes, and if this is the only way that I can do it, then it's better than nothing. But it has been really interesting, actually. So keep it going, and I'll be at your next one.
That's great.
Good stuff.
Thanks very much, Sharon. That's super. Thanks very much. And this is what it's about. You know, what we wanted to do through this was just make people, you know, aware of what's going on, and it's great to hear from a variety of people. And you know, that we've got here chamber staff, some people that work sometimes not in the spotlight or one thing or another, but the stuff they do is absolutely brilliant. And then we've got a fantastic team here at the chamber, and certainly what I've seen people do over the last couple of months have been nothing short of phenomenal. I think what you said there, Sharon, about people pivoting to new ways of working, it's a time of enforced innovation. It's almost like we've been through some form of industrial revolution and not quite realised it. But I think we are beginning to realise that now. I know some of the stuff that Nathan's got lined up that he mentioned there is completely unique and different, but it's necessary, needed, and the best thing is we know we can deliver it and do it really well as well. So that's all good stuff.